All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, according to Wikipedia, Lagos State is a highly populated, diverse southwestern state that is a major financial center, along with being a key culture, education, and transportation hub. Although it faces overcrowding and chronic dilapidating traffic, it has grown to one of the largest economies in Africa. Now, politically, the 2019 elections were a continuation of the state APC's control as presidential incumbent Muhammadu Buhari won the state by 12%, and the party held all these 3 Senate seats while gaining in the House of Representative elections. On the state level, the APC also retained its House of Assembly majority, but the gubernatorial election was prefaced by the unprecedented defeat of the incumbent Akinwumi Ambode in the APC primary, marking the first time an incumbent Nigerian governor was defeated in a party primary. His primary challenger, Sanwo-Olu, went on to win the general elections by a wide 54% margin ahead of Sanwo-Olu's Sanwo-Olu's term. The aim of his administration were improving transportation, health and environment, education and technology, entertainment, tourism, economic modernization and security. In terms of his performance, Sanwo-Olu was commended for economic and academic digitalization, road infrastructure repairs, urban renewal, his initial COVID-19 pandemic response, and some public transportation improvement. However, his administration was criticized for poor distribution of the COVID-19 palliatives, the BRT and the Lagos State NURTW crisis, poor financial management, and alleged corruption. Sanwo-Olu came under fire also for his handling of the October 2020 protests, waived the EndSARS movement, most staunchly over the Lekki massacre when soldiers that Sanwo-Olu requested for crowd control killed multiple protesters, along with the shooting aftermath when the Sanwo-Olu administration rejected a judicial report confirming the massacre and instead drafted a white paper denying any death. Now, Nigerians, Lagosians have gone through a lot since the last elections, and with the 2023 elections fast approaching, we want to know your thoughts on the Lagos State governorship race. What do you think would happen in this coming elections, right? Especially because we have a lot of new players in the building, right? Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag WadeShow. Quickly, Mani and Norma, what do you think is going to happen in 2023?
2023 is going to be very exciting. The incumbent right now is promising a lot to continue his good work. The PDP candidate and Labour Party, their mantra is a breath of fresh air. So we are looking forward to a breath of fresh air because I think APC has been here for so long, so we want something else. And then the fact that they both have their hands, they've done a lot of public work and private, ventures. I think I'm looking forward to seeing them do a lot in the campaign.
How are you, Noah?
Well, it's going to be a very stiff competition. I can see already there are so many parties, but it seems like there are some who are making
there are parties and there are parties.
Yeah.
Stages. So it's really going to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to how Lagosians take ownership of Lagos State.
Yes.
Okay, Gbadebo Rhodes-Vivour is a Lagosian that is trying to take ownership of Lagos State, popularly known as Jarvi, or the hopeful Nigerian. Is the gubernatorial candidate for the Labour Party, Lagos State, and an architect and a businessman. He has had his first degree in architecture from Nottingham University and a master's degree from the prestigious Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Boston. He ventured into politics in 2017 by contesting for chairmanship of Ikeja local government under the COA party. In 2019, at 35, he won the ticket of the People's Democratic Party to contest for Lagos State West senatorial seat. Gbadebo is a strong believer in Nigeria's future, and he devotes himself to developing fellow young people to take on the mantle of leadership. And he's a friend of the house, and we are very happy to be welcoming him back now as the gubernatorial candidate for the Labour Party.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here. Good to be here.
So, Gbadebo, say before you came, before, there was no gubernatorial candidate attached to your name. Now that there's a gubernatorial candidate, I'm not going to be nice to you.
Level.
No, I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be nice to you, but first of all, congratulations. I mean, this is a long-fought battle from the what party now, PDP. You then move on to, I think, ADC or so.
No.
Okay, you move on straight to Labour. Okay, awesome. So I'm happy that you finally got the ticket, first of all, I want to say that I'm happy because you're young like me. You know, it's like important.
Like us,
well, I don't know about that. Some of us are in our 30s. So I'm happy that, first of all, that I'm seeing young people being given the chance at this, seat of power. Very, very important for the young people that are also coming up. So you stand already as a role model to many, because you just make them believe that it is actually possible. Right? But you see, Lagos State is a very, very tough state to govern. Lagos State is not like every other state. Lagos State has some unique, Challenges. And again, because it is almost like the cash cow, the eye candy of the nation, so everybody wants to come to Lagos. You just believe that if I come to Lagos, I'm going to make it. So how is it possible, first of all, to govern the state? Do you think it is possible to transform the state to, maybe an international hub, like the way we see, countries abroad? Because I actually believe Lagos State has the potential, but is this possible?
Of course. Lagos State can be so much more if the monies that are being raised from taxing these so many vibrant and innovative people that live here are used transparently and accountably. And the problem with the way Lagos State has been run in the last 20 years, in my opinion, is that it's been run with a Chicago mafia type style, where almost any success in business is almost stifled. There's always a shakedown, multiple taxations that are happening without any explanation or accountability of what you're using these taxes for. I mean, and I keep saying to people, imagine what Alhaji Lateef Jakande was able to achieve in 4.5 years. He could do that because he put the people first. In everything, it was about delivering the project in the fastest possible time, at the cheapest possible price, at the best possible quality, to the people. It was not ego-driven projects where they just do a project, they just want to be able to point and say, we did this project, that's how so much amount of money was spent, but the people are not using it, So I feel that Lagos State can be a hub of tourism, not just because we're surrounded by water, and really we should be a very scenic city if our water bodies were cleaned and managed properly, but it can also be a place, a resource center for art and culture and learning, and a showcase of Nigerian and African history as a whole to the world. It can position itself to be that way. Lagos State can position itself to have the highest skilled workforce in Africa. I mean, we have, if you think about 65% of our population is youth, and think that Lagos is a mini Nigeria with almost 22 million people. So 65% of that are youth, able-bodied people, and you see them all over the streets, all the people we call agberos that are constantly trying to take things. We need to equip these people with skills and give them an alternative path to actually being able to take care of themselves and getting an enabling environment so companies can come and settle and hire these people, right? This is the vision for Lagos, not the status quo, not the suffering and smiling that Fela sang about that we still have to keep doing. Not 4 hours in traffic every day. You wake up before your kids wake up. You come back home, your kids are asleep. We want a Lagos that works for people, puts people first, and also is decentralized. That's going to Lagos West and Lagos East, not just the center, right? So we start to have a Lagos that allows for a better quality of life for everybody.
Absolutely. I like what how you have, laid the foundation, because there's a unique, challenge with the youth in Lagos. I mean, just today I was on the mainland. I needed to attend the meeting, so I was in my car on Teams having that meeting for like an hour, and I see a group of 5 able-bodied young guys and all of that. The next thing, I saw them bringing out different things. There's high proliferation of drugs, right, amongst the youth. And again, this is also, I feel like it's really tied to the fact that a lot of them are idle. They don't have anything that they're doing.
Exactly.
So first of all, where do you see us really plugging this challenge around the youth? Because they're everywhere. The agberos that you're calling them, they are just everywhere. And it doesn't seem like, and these people are already used to the idea that they have accepted the idea that they are thugs, and they've worn it as an apparel, and they are willing to do anything to just remain so, not change the status quo, because nobody's giving them a better option. Do you think if you become a governor, you think you are able to cater to those kinds of people? Because those are the people truly that are determining who the next governor would be in this state. And if we continue to have those kind of people, it'll be difficult for them to find a cerebral mind. It'll be difficult for them to find someone that is willing to take them off of that kind of lifestyle, because they just believe that that's all they know and that's the best that they can have.
Okay, so, it's like if the head of a fish is rotting, everything goes bad. If the head is bad, So, in terms of what you just spoke about, you need to understand that this new identity, not even a new identity, this identity you just described, is part and parcel of the government that exists today. They work hand in hand. I'll give you an example. I'm an architect, I have interest in construction. I'm doing a renovation in a hidden estate in Surulere. And the area boys in the area will come and do a shakedown, make people down tools. Then guess who they call? They then call Alausa. So they're working hand in hand, right? And you see, there's also an aspirational nature to all of this, which is these same area boys, they use violence, they show that they have muscle, politicians use them, they then get elevated in society, and then you see the likes of the MC Oluomos and all of that. So there's that aspirational thing where if we do enough, we also will get there, will be respected, right? And that is based on the government that currently has existed in Lagos for a very long time. They have legitimized this. We saw during the NSAS where they brought busloads full of these guys. I don't want to call them thugs because, if they had an alternative quality, it's just, yes. But you see them, they were bossed there by politicians, came out with cutlasses right in front of government house. Without any fear, without any consideration. The governor was sitting in Alausa, and all this was documented. So because they have the blessings of the government, and the government have used them for so long, they feel entitled. They feel like they're the fourth arm of government, right? When you have, after the local government, it's them. And they work hand in hand with local government, who then works with the state government, right? So this must change, right? Even in a situation where we are now automating payments that are collected by the unions, but we are ensuring that those monies, almost 130 billion is generated by collection from transportation workers every year. What happens with these monies, right? It just goes up to some people that they shared. But what we want to do is those monies should stay down. As opposed to having a pyramid scheme, it should be leveled, where these monies affect the lives of members of these unions, right? Where they have health insurance, where they can afford to send their children to school because there is a bursary associated with this wealth. And I call it in my manifesto the Commonwealth of Lagos. It's no more, we have to level it so that it's no more valuable to use violence to aspire to get up, right? A transparent, accountable system will allow for you to get what you deserve. And that's it. So that it's not about how violent you are or how aggressive you are, how it can be used by politicians. And the idea also is when you come into power, to not abuse that power and use the less fortunate to achieve your political will. That takes discipline as someone in power. Instead of, there are politicians that are sending drugs, because this started with drugs, sending drugs to communities intentionally. Because when you have people hooked on drugs, you can get them to do anything. During elections, politicians will not only buy alcohol, they'll buy drugs for these young men and send them to go and snatch ballot boxes, right? So we need a government, a leadership with empathy. It's not just about what you want. What is in the interest of these people? These
people are the people you're up against. But let's just go on a very short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're discussing the 2023 elections, and we're talking about the Lagos State governorship race with Gbadebo Rhodes-Vivour, the gubernatorial candidate for the Labour Party, Lagos State. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Let me let my ladies talk, because I was just going to say to you that if that is what you're up against, are you even ready to win this election?
So let me touch on that. You see, when people say this APC machinery, Tinubu machinery, all of that, these area boys, elections in Lagos State only turn out 19 to 18% of the registered voters.
Yeah.
So there's what I call the silent majority. They are sitting at home. They are not inspired by what is being offered. They're interested in manifestos. They want people that reflect integrity. And you see it in the excitement and the energy in the populace right now. They've seen something that they can aspire to. They've seen something that inspires them to want to come out, to want to give their time, not just their time, their money as well. And you're going to see a difference in 2023. And I tell you, if you gather all these area boys together, they're not up to 50,000. If 1 million people out of the 7 million registered voters come out to vote, they will overwhelm anything that they try to do. You see, you can only rig where there is voter apathy, right? When people come out properly, you cannot do anything about it. And like I say, the voice of the people is the voice of God, right? So the important thing is the people now realize that it's their time to take ownership. It's their time to make their voices heard. It's their time to actually come out and vote and participate in the process, right? So that when somebody comes in with a 2 million margin or a 3 million margin, they know they're accountable to the people. They not buy their way in there. They not use thugs to get in there. And now, even with the transmission of votes electronically, what used to be the norm before is not going to be the norm anymore.
Yeah.
You just said something about this rigging being possible when there's voters apathy.
Yes.
So now, with everything that is going on in Lagos State, do you think we will see the normal APC win-win next year, especially when we have the incumbent as APC, or you think things are going to change and we'll see something new?
I think things are going to change significantly, and things are going to change because people are fed up with mediocrity in governance, especially with the way the NSAS situation was handled, especially with the lack of transparency and accountability of Lagos State government. I mean, it's taken almost 10 years to build a train system that Alhaji Lateef Jakonde started so long ago that would have been finished in 2.5, 3 years if he was the person in charge. You know, and just the same of the same, and you find that there'll be little increments close to elections.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, everybody is now commissioning flyovers, and this happens every 4 years, right? So I think people have seen through this, and you know, we want something different. It's time to try something different. It's time to try accountability. It's time to try a situation where government is not just focused around one person and his cronies and people that have proximity to power. It's about the people. It's about you. That's why the movement that we're pushing is our Lagos. It's time for us to take ownership of our Lagos. It's not just for one person, you know?
So if I may plug in that, Gbadebo, what are you and your party, Labour Party, doing deliberately to prepare the minds and hearts of Lagosians? Because you mentioned that a majority are at home and watching silently, right? And still a majority are not inspired to step out and be part of it, even though we see a lot going on social media and all of that. How are you and your party, how are you preparing the minds of people? What are you intentionally doing to make sure that this number of the 7 million, out of the 7 million Lagosians, that at least that number of 1 million would be ready and will come out to vote?
So, you know, campaign season has obviously not started.
It's about to start in another few months, yes.
Yeah, door-to-door meetings that are happening, people reaching out to each other, talking to each other. I mean, I was in Alimosho over the weekend with different groups that are getting together and doing work. The fantastic thing about Labour Party is people are so inspired that they're not even waiting for the politicians or the party structure for them to start having meetings.
Yeah.
They're having meetings by themselves. And that is what democracy is.
Sure.
It should not be something that is the politicians' game.
It's it's for the people,
it's
by
for
the people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but in Nigeria, what you found is that it's because most politicians don't really have much to offer. Is they have the thugs, they have the money to buy the elections, so they determine the play of the game.
Yeah.
But now, because there's so much more at stake, there's vision, there's manifesto, there's inspiration, there's integrity. People have seen that and they are now inspired, and they are getting organized by themselves because now they want to see a change. They want to see a new type of government.
So is that also helping structure-wise?
Yeah.
Oh yes,
for the party?
significantly. To build a structure when you don't have people, when you have to go and convert people, is very difficult.
Yeah.
But to build a structure where people are like
They're
dying to come
hungry
in,
already,
they're hungry to
waiting.
come into the
You
house.
just open the door.
Thank you. You build the house and open the door.
I like when you are putting a smile, because we all know that there's a buzz around the Labour Party, because again you can't help but the fact that the youth are obedient.
Exactly. Well, obedient and useful.
Everybody is looking forward to the 2023 elections, because for the first time in a long time they see some ray of hope in a candidate who want to now pledge their support and everything to them. But I was going to ask you this question: what gives you the credibility to be governor of Lagos State? Because I mean, we've always said that part of why Peter Obi is a selling point is the fact that he's ran for the office of the governor. He's done 2 terms. It transformed Anambra State. He has a track record. We see a pattern. We see a structure. But somebody will look at you and say, "Okay, nice guy, fine guy, went to school."
He's
when
young.
they put his picture and they say something of Bridgerton.
Yes.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's the picture.
They said Lord Third Mainland Bridgerton.
I didn't see that. That was good.
Yeah, so we said that to you, but hey, we can't help but ask the question that.
Yes.
Now, even though some people know you on close proximity, they've seen the work you've done. What gives you that, credibility to say, I can because Lagos has money. Lagos is not one of those states that
But they
are
keep
poor.
telling they're broke.
No,
they keep telling they cannot do this and that.
So, but they have the capacity, they have the potential, right? So, what gives you that credibility to be able to govern a state that controls about 20-something million people? Because somebody is saying here that Lagos is the 5th economy in Africa. He says somebody made it so. I believe Lagos can be the first economy with the potential that Lagos State has. We are underplaying our potential.
Yes.
Somebody made it so. So maybe you should help us with that.
When they say somebody made it so, the question is, with the funds that are coming into Lagos, IGR, how is it translating?
Yeah.
Right? That's the first question. Secondly, from my experience on the campaign trail, meeting people across half of Lagos and understanding where it hurts, right? I have the advantage of knowing, okay, in this local government, in Ojo, this person has to walk, this child has to walk almost an hour to be able to get to primary school, right? And I said on the show the last time I was here that the most important thing that we need to look for in leadership is empathy and cerebral capacity. That's the most important thing. Yes, experience matters, but there's so many people that have had experience that have been governors of Lagos State. The person that's currently governor has experience. I think he had experience in one of the housing MDGs. Projects, right? Well, how did that experience play out during the NSAS? How did that experience play out during transparency and accountability to govern Lagos? How has that experience translated to creating affordable housing for the people that actually need it, right? You go to Fashola, who was a son, highly intelligent, highly educated, highly experienced. But there's so many things that are lacking still, right? So for me, you must show a capacity to be able to manage systems intellectually, right? And you must show empathy for the people. Alhaji Lateef Jakonde was not a former governor, but he's the best governor Lagos has produced in so long. He was a journalist, right? But he had empathy. And it showed in the way he did projects. It showed in the education sector when he was governor. It showed in the healthcare system that he built. It showed in the housing. He was not even an architect. I am an architect. And by God's grace, I'm the architect of a new Lagos. So for me, I believe that I have what it takes with a party that is very passionate about the people. Even when you look at our logo, it has a mother, a father, and a child. Right? We are about welfare of the people. We are about the people. Right? And with that team coming on board forming a new government, I believe that the people will be better off.
Okay, sorry.
Even we just quickly, and what are you going to do differently? You gave us insights to what Lateef Jakonde has done and so many other people. What exactly are you going to be doing different that will single you out as the #1 leader that Lagosians need to pay attention to? Okay,
so I'm going to transform, by God's grace, my government will transform the education sector. It will create an education system that focuses more on application and production as opposed to consumption. It will ensure that internet access available to all for the sole purpose of education. So you don't go on there to get on Instagram or to get on YouTube.
No, so
On
Yahoo,
YouTube
Yahoo.
for particular type of things that
educational,
educate you
yeah.
with a focus on understanding how things are made. So when you're coming out of school, you're coming out to produce and to change the value system from a consumption to a productive one. And also to have after-school programs that put focus on application of knowledge, not just cramming.
So majorly
Right.
in education.
Education, no, I'll just give you the first one.
Yeah.
Transportation will be ensuring that Lagos becomes a truly multimodal transport
Thank you.
system,
That's what we need.
right?
Yeah.
With a card that allows you seamlessly go from paying to park your car, getting on the bus, getting on the ferry.
Like the
Basically
Oyster cards
travel
that they
cards.
use.
Pretty
in
much,
the-
yes.
One-day travel
Exactly,
card.
and makes it seamless, and
I
also
like
does
that.
more than lip service to using water
Amazing.
transportation. For instance, you have a jetty. There should be a life and a lifestyle and a culture designed around that jetty, so that it becomes normal to go by water and interconnect Lagos. And another thing we'll be doing is we will not be bogged down by trying to be the ones that control how money is made from infrastructure. That is one of the reasons why Lagos has not developed at the pace it should develop. I've sat with people that told me that they bought almost $5 billion to Lagos to say, we're going to do the 3 train lines at the same time, and they were rebuffed. Why? Because they not play ball. But if you put the people first, your main priority will be how your people can move faster in the most efficient way in the state.
I mean, what you just said, I've heard this in some quarters, how so many investors turned back because they refused to play ball,
Exactly.
you know, with Lagos state government, because, you know, you have to shake body for them to be able to give. But you know what, that's an aside. You're an architect.
Yes.
One of the biggest problems we have in Lagos,
Housing.
housing and the
Affordable
Planning.
housing.
Planning.
the
And the
structure and the
structure.
planning, right? We talked about the other day, Uti gave a simple breakdown how we can solve this crisis of flooding in our country. I mean, rather in Lagos State, because, you know, how do you see that restructuring happening without shaking the, because there's going to be a lot of disruptions, right? Because we can't really afford a democracy in Lagos. We need a structure where is in between democracy and autocracy. In fact, the whole of Nigeria, where you take very strong firm stance on certain things. So how do you intend to deal with the housing
Opposition towards
the housing deficits that we have, the planning deficit that we have, and the flooding issues that we have within the Lagos State?
Okay, so at a macro level, there must be a master plan for getting water out of the city.
Okay.
And this must be sacrosanct in every urban planning development that's being done and every housing development or commercial development that's being done across the state. What you find is that is neglected. You bribe this person and he gives you an environmental assessment report that favors you, but then you're blocking waterways, right? So that's at the macro level. So this must be done, and also it must also be mechanized to a certain extent. So we must have industrial pumps that are pushing water out, right? So that's at that level. At the lower level, you have a situation where now the gutter in front of your establishment must become your own. You must be responsible for it. And just like there's a fence, right? There will also be like a mesh in that part that demarcates that this is yours, right? So anything that is left in there, right, will not flow to the next person's own. And you must be responsible for clearing that, right? And if you don't, there'll be penalties, right? So in that way, you now give ownership to the individuals that actually own property. And what we now have to do as the government is to ensure that the canals are free to flow, right? The system that allows for water to drain to our lagoons and our waterways are without obstruction. And then we also have mechanized systems. So we're also gathering data on how much rain is coming, when we can expect this rain, so we can plan intelligently for it. Because unlike, we don't have snow in Nigeria, but we have heavy rain in Lagos,
Yes.
and we must take it seriously. In fact, there should be, for me, in my government, there'll be a ministry for that, for drainage of Lagos. Because when you look at the sophisticated system that exists in the Netherlands and the dikes that exist in those Nordic countries, and Amsterdam, that are below the water level, you see, they take it very seriously, right? Yes, there might be abnormal type of rainfall in certain times, but it should not be an every year thing.
Every
Everybody
single
gets
time,
flooded.
yes.
I saw the video of the people that were trapped in their car because of the floods. These things should not be happening, right? And we must have a plan and an active system. We cannot just be reactive and every time, oh, it's flooding, oh, it's rains, oh,
So
climate
it's
change.
normal.
No.
So let's tie that to waste management.
Beautiful. So that also ties directly into waste management. So there must be more interlinking between these different agencies, because most of these things that are blocking the waterways and the gutters and everything are plastics, are waste. So for me,
Waste management.
what we're
Can
going
you
to do,
appoint me? Just sorry, let me just say that one. Will you be able to appoint me to Hokoboko? So that when I see anybody throwing any plastic outside, I'll just come down.
we
from
will
here.
happily do that. In fact, you can be the chairman of recruiting the medical
But sorry to
professionals.
divert you. Go ahead.
So for me, I feel that we are going to create incentives for people to separate their waste from the house, right? And then bring waste management down to the local government level, so that whatever income that can be generated by recycling this waste, from organic waste that can be recycled using to create biogas and fertilizer, organic fertilizer, to plastics that can be recycled to create pellets that can be then sold, and other waste, how the local government, these funds would then be paid to the local government, that then gives subsidies to the people that are separating the waste, so that there are incentives to allow for separation that comes directly from your house. You see, once we do this and we have clear pathways for all the organic waste going to one place, all the plastic waste going to one place, we manage waste much better. I feel that the biggest resource we have in Lagos after human beings is waste. Because we have such a small footprint and we have so many people concentrated in constantly generating waste. And this is something that we are wasting waste, literally, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, like in landfills, we should not be just using waste in landfills. We should be making use of these things. In fact, that should be something that we should take ownership of. Like Lagos State is the capital of waste recycling and waste management. You know, that's where we need to go
I
in
have
terms
a
of
friend
waste.
that separates everything, but at the end of the day,
They still put everything together.
That's the problem. So that's why I said
together.
different pathways. So the people that are separating organic waste is going to a biogas converter.
So and that will be taken up by a different
exactly. And the
traffic.
funds that are generated by that is going to that particular local government, right? So that particular local government benefits a lot more. And those funds can then be used for the healthcare system, primary healthcare system, can be used for the education system, primary school. We need to bring more power to the local government. So we need to have a lot more sensible, visionary people at the local government, because that's the closest government to the people.
for governor.
So you hit where I'm landing my final point. How prepared is the Labour Party to hit those local government
structure-wise?
In terms, not even really structure. Like if we talk structure, and
No.
Do we have people
Manpower
that are ready and
ground,
cerebral
ready
to run for offices from that level all the way to the top?
I believe that what the Labour Party has achieved by having a Peter Obi as its candidate, a Dati as the vice president, is that we've created a brand. A brand that says you must be smart. It's not enough to just dance on stage anymore. It's not enough to crack jokes. It's not enough to just be rich. You need to be able to
intellectually sound.
Because Nigeria, let me leave Lagos. Nigeria is a complicated entity that requires extreme cerebral capacity to be able to manage, and also you need a certain level to also be able to network with people outside of the country to solve our problems, right? They need to be able to see you as a counterpart, as a peer, not somebody that you're looking at you like, how this one gets into leadership, right? So that's the brand that we've set, and I promise you that brand is going all the way through,
all the way
down to local government. Because if a Peter Obi is looking at Lagos and say, I like that person is representing the brand, I will be looking down at Ali Mosho local government chairman and saying, that person representing the brand.
Awesome.
We have a brand, we have an ideology.
I like the fact that you guys have a brand. So maybe finally we might have a what's it called? A Nigerian brand.
Right?
Let's comment quickly.
Do you think that you would, in choosing this your people, the tribe thing will come to play?
Well, I cannot even be tribalistic. It's not in my DNA, because my father, I'm proudly Lagosian. I'm from Lagos Island. My mother is from Abia State. My wife is from Anambra. Like, so I'm a Southern Nigerian. And also, I'm particular about excellence. Lagos State was not called the center of excellence by chance.
Thank you.
It's about excellence. We don't want mediocrity because you are Yoruba, then we are just going to manage you. No, we want excellence. Because at the end of the day,
You will find that on the Waste show.
Good evening, my dear beautiful sisters, and what are you saying? In a nutshell, if you ask Lagosians what they feel about it, they will tell you that both PDP and APC should be scrapped. PDP failed in the past, and now in the present, APC has failed. Your guest made mention of traffic system not being tackled. Maybe if we try another party, you can never tell. We may just get it right. This is my brief comment about this topic. Thank you so much, Daniel Elo, for keeping it brief.
By and large, APC is the ruling party in Lagos State. Nobody can doubt that. But the thing is, many people don't have ideologies when it comes to politics in Nigeria. People are more into stomach infrastructure, to name a few. It's sad the same old wines and the new wine bottles are still holding our country and state in general. How I wish the young man in your studio would be given a chance to prove himself. But will those in government allow free, fair, and credible elections to hold and count?
The
God
people
bless
will
you.
make it free.
Bobby Kennedy, Jalingo.
Thank you, Bobby Kennedy.
Go
ahead, Norma.
All right, so I have this from Laide. Says, good evening to the wonderful women of Ways watching the show. The guest's perspective is a breath of fresh air.
Indeed.
May God honor anyone who has Nigeria's best interest at heart.
Amen.
With the opportunity to serve in and out of official offices. I'm your fan. All right, and then this from Austin. He says, from Delta State, yeah. So for me, Lagos is a mini Nigeria, but don't be deceived. It will take collaboration and years to dislodge the cabal calling the shots. Didn't Ambode work but couldn't return because he fell out with the emperor? Please ask your guest how many seats will his party be winning in state assembly, not grammar. That's why I am worried, because if he wins, the assembly members from the dominant party will impeach him. Yes, people are fed up, as he said, but can he stop vote buying?
We will
Power
try.
from Abuja,
We need to
etc.
Can I
No. Follow us on Instagram.
Well, it's always good to leave suspense.
You
man.
can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, invite your families and friends to watch, and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. Election belongs to the people. It's their decision. If they decide to turn their back on the fire and burn their behinds, they will just have to sit on their blisters. This is from Abraham Lincoln. Very powerful quote. To see you guys live at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Don't worry, we'll bring him back.